Thank you for joining us today in episode 85 of the Pool Chasers podcast. As always, our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. Well, another live episode is in the books, and it is a great one. We had the opportunity to interview Lucas Congdon, who we've looked up to for a very long time. We discussed where Lucas grew up and how it instilled a hard work ethic in him and a creative spirit, which he still uses to this day. We also talk about how he used YouTube to get on TV, what it takes to do the episodes, and how the large grottos he's known for have developed over time. Learning things in this industry is tough, but learning them on TV, even tougher. Lucas tells us what it was like overbuilding the projects so that they impressed during season 1, even to the point that he didn't know if the company was going to survive. He shared several other things that he has learned and grown from since he first started. He even shares some insight on the other members of his team that are on the show. We had a great time recording the episode, so please enjoy Lucas Congdon of Lucas Lagoons.
Let's do it.
Does it work? Hello? All right.
Oh, it works.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
That's awesome.
I'm going to do it every stop. There's only one more stop after this. I can't help it.
Give him a little bit of a kick there, huh?
Yeah.
Orlando, what's good? How are you guys? Doing good? Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you, spending time with us. It's a live podcast, so feel free to laugh, clap, interact with us if the opportunity arises. So we'll jump right into it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lucas. We really appreciate you taking the time to come down here and be with us.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you again.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we did record with Lucas and his whole entire team in Vegas probably about 2 years ago. Yeah. And it was like the most epic, awesome talk ever. And it just, I don't know what happened. Either not recording or...
Yeah, I recorded out of the laptop speakers or something, so it was really rough.
Oh, yeah. And it was at a country music bar where the music was like crazy loud. Yep. So we're going to relive it just with you.
They'll be a little bit more sane this time.
Yeah, you're going to have to interact like all your characters.
Yeah, because you came with a limo with a whole team and then it was good.
I haven't gone back there since. I'm going to stay away.
Right. So can you introduce yourself to us and the audience?
Who am I again?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
I know.
You just stumbled in here.
Yeah.
Your big old truck out there.
I'm Lucas Congdon of Lucas Lagoons and Insane Pools Off the Deep End, and here I am.
Yeah. So I mean, anybody that's seen the TV show knows a lot about the type of pools that you build, and we will get into that. But maybe just share with us, where you came from and a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah. So grew up in Vermont, a great place to grow up. We grew up on 64 acres, no TV, so I really never saw TV. I just worked outside with my mom and dad. We lived off the land. My dad's a furniture maker, so built furniture. I remember mowing the lawn, and I couldn't reach the top rung of the lawnmower. It was the lower one, and I remember pushing the lawnmower, and then sometimes I'd have to drag it and pull it. And I think I was probably only maybe 4 years old, and I'm thinking, now that I have kids, I would never let my 4-year-old mow the lawn because he would run over his foot and chop his toes off. But I remember being very aware of my toes, where they were, and looking, and always just being very careful. And I remember my dad had this bandsaw. I used to love building stuff in his shop, and I was probably about 4 years old using a bandsaw as well. But I think, at a young age, being exposed to that just made me very aware of kind of what I was doing, and luckily I have all my fingers. Nothing's missing.
I was gonna say, are they all real? Yeah. Those are all real fingers.
They're all real fingers. So it just was always just creative and building things. I guess I didn't know anything else. I was never entertained by TV. I always had to kind of entertain myself, and I loved it. It was a great way to grow up, but when I was 22 years old, I realized there was really not much else to do in Vermont, no opportunities to really make money. My parents never really made much money, so I figured I'd go on a tour around the U.S. and try to find a place where I could work all year round. At that point, I didn't know I wanted to do pools. I knew I wanted to do landscaping, but had no idea that I'd fall in love with pools. So I did.
Was that in your resume that you could mow 64 acres?
Yeah.
You started when you were
with
4 years old. Yeah.
I literally had to walk uphill through the snow on the way back from school. It was a 1.5 mile long driveway, so it was pretty intense.
Do you tell your kids that story?
Yeah, they're like, they don't believe me. They're like, just pick me up, Dad. My kids won't even ride the bus, and it's not even snowing out, so it's a completely different day of age. But yeah, so I did a tour with my girlfriend at the time around the U.S. and almost moved to California. I love California as well, but being a broke 22-year-old, I figured I'd go to Florida where the cost of living was pretty low and the opportunities were there. I fell in love with Siesta Key Beach, the white crystal sand, and thought that would be a great place to try it out. And it was the right thing to do because everything kind of came together, and I started landscaping, started doing some tree work. I stumbled upon a pool remodel, knew nothing about pools, but I had met Crash at that time, and he had been doing pool remodeling, like tile coping, stuff like that, for a couple of years. And so we added some rocks and some landscaping to a pool, and it came out beautiful. The clients were so happy. And I just, being hot in Florida, I love, building pools. And it's just I think what I love about pools is I just have fond memories of a kid going to Pennsylvania and my aunt and uncle's pool, which was just an above ground pool and nothing special, but just like playing in the water and cooling off. And to me, it's just an intimate experience to create something that people are going to get in and play and have fun. And, a garden is beautiful. You can look at it. Yeah, you can walk through it. But a pool, you're like immersed in that creation. And, I just love the idea of building something that someone's going to be immersed in your creation, looking around in awe at, the waterfalls and the landscaping, the lighting, all those features. It's just very rewarding. So after that first pool remodel, I was hooked. At the time, my landscape business was named Earthworks, and I dropped that like a bad habit and started Lucas Lagoons.
Nice. And so Crash was the first one that you met?
Yeah, Crash was first employee and first person I talked to with any pool experience at all.
So I don't think that's like a TV personality, because when we met him in Vegas, he was like just as crazy as he is on the TV show.
Yeah, if you only knew.
Right.
He's crashed a lot of things. He's like a wrecking ball. Thank God he doesn't get hurt, but he's hurt a lot of things. He totaled my Suzuki Hayabusa was one of the first major crashes he had. But yeah, he's I don't know, he's like indestructible.
Right.
He's earned the nickname for mostly off of pool stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not crashing pools.
Not crashing pools. just ATVs,
crashing all your extra
trucks, cars. Totaled my 350Z. A lot of things.
Right. And so how did Lucas Lagoons like kind of evolve and start doing all the rock work and boulder work and different things like that?
So when my parents got divorced when I was 10, my mom started a landscaping business, and in Vermont, there's just rock everywhere. So we did a lot of patios, stone walls, all kinds of things with rocks. So when I moved to Florida, I see all these pools, and they're all concrete. Some had concrete waterfalls, but everything was nothing looked natural, and I was thinking, man, if I could just take these rocks that I grew up playing with and building things with and put them on these pools, it would be beautiful. So the very first pool remodel was a very modest waterfall, maybe 4 foot tall, little rock wall that went around this landscape bed, flagstone patio. So, I grew up working with rock. The only thing was I never worked with mortar before. Everything was dry laid in Vermont because of the freeze thaw. So I had to figure out, okay, how do I work with mortar? How do I work with a pool? There was a lot to figure out, but my thing was I always figured it out. And I even if I did something for the first time, it was something that I would just allow myself more time, and I would pay close attention and make sure it was perfect when it was done, and the clients were happy. So I knew no other way than to just imagine something, figure it out, make sure it was executed perfectly, even if it took me 2 times or 3 times. Just as long as the project was beautiful in the end and everybody was happy, then it was a success. So success wasn't always money. A lot of times I lost money because I was learning, but it doesn't matter, because when you have a happy client, they're going to tell their friends. Their friends are going to come over and be like, wow, who built this beautiful backyard? And that obviously leads to more work.
Right. And we were talking a little bit about the earlier years of being on the show. Can you share some of that experience?
Yeah. So before we had a TV show, I always loved, so my other love besides landscaping and building pools, I always wanted to have some sort of show. So when I was younger, I did all kinds of goofy stuff. Even my aunt and uncle would film me. They were the first ones in the family to have a video camera. And this is back in the 80s. So, the big, huge camera with the full-size, VHS tape in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would, try to reenact like Three Stooges or whatever I could. I always loved, whenever a camera was pointed at me, I'd love to do something funny. So in my 20s, I always thought I'd have some kind of show. Before Jackass existed, that was kind of the type of stuff we were filming, just stupid stuff. One stupid stunt was, I don't know if I should share this, but
share it.
Yeah. I purchased this blow-up doll, and I went into a pizza place and tried to trade her for a pizza just to get a rise out of the guys. And I don't know, just stupid stuff. I don't know what other kind of stunts. Just, whatever silly
Nothing in
thing.
shopping carts?
Yeah.
That would have been awesome if you still had that footage.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think I might have some. Actually, I just barely now, 20 years later, put all the different types of media I had, whether it was like a mini DVD or a little tape, and I got it all on hard drive. So I'm trying to go through it all and do some blast from the past type funny stuff. So I always thought I'd have some kind of funny show, but when I started really falling in love and trying to grow the business with the pools, we filmed our own, made our own YouTube channel, and that's how we got discovered. And so then I was contacted by, I don't know if you'd really call it a talent scout, but there's this guy that goes through and looks at YouTube and finds videos and thinks of ideas for a show and then pitches it to a production company that then produces a sizzle reel that then tries to sell it to a network. So from the time I first got contacted to do a show, it took almost 4 years to actually have the show. So it was, I was so excited when they first contacted me. I'm telling everybody, I'm going to have a TV show. I'm finally going to have a show. 4 years later, it's like never cry wolf. So I stopped telling people because they're like, you're a liar. You don't even have a show. And so it finally happened. And so it was a long, long process. And then we finally got the show. We were super excited. But we had a lot of smaller projects. Our average job was maybe like $100,000, $200,000. So this is probably, going back 8 years ago, maybe. But when we had the show, I wanted to do something bigger and grander and something, I figure, hey, if I'm showing this to the world, I got to do something really cool. So I took these modest budgets and I overbuilt each job so I could really try to showcase the best of what we could do with those budgets. And so season 1 was really cool, a lot of fun, but very stressful. A small business, not a lot of money. Losing money on every project, just trying to get the name out, trying to show people, the world, what you can do. They ended up playing the show in 22 different countries. I'm glad they didn't tell me that, though, because I probably would have been so nervous that there was that many people watching. But yeah, I had no idea where it was going to go. We just enjoyed every day and tried to make the best of it. But yeah, it was a struggle. Small budgets trying to build big, crazy, elaborate pools.
Right. And, we were talking, we have a ton of respect for what you do, because I don't think that if it wasn't for the shows that you do and the Pool Kings and different things like that, I don't think a lot of the homeowners out there would be as motivated or inspired to have a custom swimming pool built. So you're inspiring them to have a swimming pool built, and somebody's contacting their local builder to have something made. We think that that's very cool. And you might not have been thinking about that then, but anybody that we've ever heard of, that's, that doesn't like the show for whatever reason, it's like, think about, some of the, clients that you've had come to you is because they might have, seen something on a TV show.
Yeah. I always wanted to just inspire people to think outside the box, do something fun, creative. Don't be scared to do something you haven't done before. That was kind of always my goal, not to try to just get a bunch of work for myself, but just to share my passion and, get not only other pool builders excited about what can be done, but homeowners, just everybody.
Right. Well, the TV is a good platform, right, to get business.
It's yeah, it's pretty crazy. We've had some months, I think like 175,000 people to the website.
Oh, wow.
So my poor wife, she would respond to every person. It might take a little bit, but
can they at least get a free sticker or something?
Yeah, it's tough, because we get a lot of fans, a lot of sad stories. People, whether their child has cancer or they're a veteran, people reaching out wanting a free pool, and we'd love to give it to them. It's tough. I try to always spend time and talk to them or do whatever I can, but people don't realize just because you're on TV doesn't mean you have millions of dollars you don't know what to do with. I wish that was the case, but yeah, especially, the first couple seasons, by the time we were done filming, I'm wondering if I'm going to have a company left. We spent every cent we had trying to build the coolest pools we could just to showcase the work that we could do.
Right. I feel like you could do like American Idol or something, like be on a panel. It's like, why do you deserve to have a swimming pool built by me?
Right.
You touch base a little bit about your learning experience through all that. As we were talking earlier about, when a lot of people through this industry they're learning by trial by error. Mm-hmm. And you being on a TV show that's obviously elevated through these channels of people watching it. But, everybody in this industry has kind of learned similar ways unless they've had somebody teach them. But a lot of times, what we did too with our business is you do your best to do it right, and if it's messed up, you fix it and you eat the cost for it, and you move on as long as the customer's happy. So can you talk a little bit about that process of learning, but also learning through creating these big projects and trying to do all that together while being on TV?
Yeah, the cool thing about starting from the bottom is there's many different ways of doing things. So in the beginning, we weren't, these waterfalls were maybe, 10 tons, at most 24 tons, which would be like one semi-load of rock would be 24 tons. So, the smaller waterfalls, you didn't really have to do much to the pool. You could set, 10 tons of rock on the side of a pool, and it would be fine. We wouldn't do anything really structural. We'd use pond liners and lip them over the edge of the pool and make sure that, no water would leak out. Some people, I've seen it a lot actually, they'll mortar rocks on the end of the pool, but that, mortar doesn't hold water. Water's going to leak right through it. So we always used to use in the beginning pond liners to, almost like a shower pan and when you're building a bathroom. So that way when the water kind of runs through the rock, as it will, it'll all end up back in the pool. So we used to use Firestone adhesive for roofing to kind of glue the liner over the edge of the pool, over the edge of the coping. And then I'd take these rocks and I'd notch them out and make like big coping rock to kind of sit over the edge so you wouldn't see it. So, we had to figure out how to do a pool remodel for $35,000 and a waterfall, where now our average job's $750,000, but there's a lot that happens between, there and where we are now. And then, as the jobs got bigger and bigger, we had to change our methods. So now everything, if typically we don't do a lot of remodeling, we'll rip a pool out and start fresh. But if we are remodeling a pool, we'll do helical piles with, all concrete, everything structural, with the rocks mortared on top of that, with a waterproofer on the concrete. But so there's just a lot of ways of doing it. But the nice thing is, starting from the bottom, is that depending on people's budgets, there's a lot of different ways of trying to accomplish their goals. So for example, in recent years, my friend Frankie, the AV guy on the show.
Oh yeah, Frankie's awesome.
Frankie's a lot of fun. So he has parties of 100 plus people at his house. He has 5 acres. He wanted a huge lagoon. So when we priced it out, doing it with shotcrete or gunite, we're looking at an $800,000 project. Well, Frankie only wanted to spend like $200,000. So between kind of, and I helped him out a little bit on it because it was the show, and I helped him out a lot, but I literally not only built the pool, but threw in some of my own money, and we built a crazy pool. But this one, instead of using rebar in it and shotcrete, we did a pond liner, and then we poured the concrete over the top of the liner with a geotech fabric to protect the liner. And then we stacked, like, all the walls are solid limestone boulders, and then we pumped concrete in between the boulders. The limestone in Florida is pretty inexpensive. It's kind of everywhere, so we weren't shipping in the Tennessee rock. And then we did a swim-up bar, tiki hut. Then we had to come up with a special mixture of like a flexible mortar that could go over the concrete, because without the rebar, as you know, over time it'll flex and crack, and we didn't want the cracks coming through. So there's no walls that drop straight down. It's basically almost like a beach entry from all sides except for where the waterfall is, and we were able to build him what he wanted for his budget. So it's now been about 3 years, and everything's still looking really good and still having big fun parties. We did the tiki hut because that's the cheapest roof you can build. It's about $30 a square foot to have a tiki hut built. So yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. So
yeah, that pool is super cool. I really liked that episode, even though in the beginning you had taken out the side by side. Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought for some reason that you were going to like incorporate that into the pool. Like there was going to be like a bridge going into the forest
right.
or something, just cause I'm like, you never know what to expect. So, but ended up being like super rad pool.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Super fun. So,
And I mean, like, learning on the TV show too, like you're trying to really, learn the industry. You didn't get taught, right? You started with the landscaping company, so you're learning it, but you're trying to do some of that in the TV show. That must be like, the exposure is could be tough sometimes.
Yeah, but it's been fun because we've worked in Madrid, Spain, Australia, all over the country, and each area there's different rocks, different landscapes to be inspired by, different methods of construction, different lifestyles. So all of those kind of add to the design and kind of push you to get outside your comfort zone. Even as custom as we are, there's still kind of similarities between the jobs, and it's nice to mix it up and do something different, just to make sure you don't kind of get stuck finding yourself repeating the same thing. Even though the pool shape might be different, it's easy to kind of get comfortable and start kind of doing the same thing, which is really the best business practice because you're more profitable, because you're not learning, having to reinvent the wheel every time. But if you want things to look different and be fresh, you got to constantly be pushing yourself. So the challenge right now is, it seems like modern is really coming back pretty, a lot of people like clean lines these days. You hear that a lot. But people love grottos. So I have one client right now that's torn between, and we've done some fusions on the website. We call it Modern Zen, where we do natural rock work and more of a clean line pool. But his house is, I wouldn't say ultra modern, but, to kind of the next level. And he wants to do a modern grotto. So we're actually working on some cool designs to do some modern grotto. So we won't be using the natural stone, but, some different techniques for that. So that's kind of my latest challenge, is how do we do a really cool modern grotto that doesn't just look like a concrete box.
Right. It seems like it would be, I'm thinking of like somebody shouted out the Frank Lloyd Wright, the most kind of iconic home that Frank Lloyd Wright had built. And it's very modern, but he incorporated like the rocks in with it. So I'm picturing that you almost have to make that stuff look more like the environment, and then the pool is just something kind of, separate.
Right.
That just jumped out to me.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I like the contrast. Like we see a modern home with a lot of glass or steel, wood, concrete in a beautiful setting, like on top of a mountain or nestled in the woods. And you just kind of have that contrast, and that's really beautiful. So I think about that a lot when we're doing a modern pool. And you can have a modern house in a natural setting. So you could still do a really cool natural lagoon, but if they want the pool to be modern as well, then you kind of get that challenge of, okay, how do we incorporate the same features but with a modern twist? So that's been our latest learning curve, which has been a lot of fun.
Have to put like a big giant cover, black square over it. Like, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
When you're not using it, put the modern twist on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it pretty difficult when people have like, they want something different to like source materials that you're used to, or is it a little bit easier because you're on the coast?
So it depends where you're at. But I have a lot of fun, sourcing materials and looking for new things because that helps inspire the design. So we don't always come up with a design and then look for a material. Sometimes I'll just look for materials and that will inspire the design. So it's fun to kind of come at it from different directions. So always just kind of keeping an open mind, looking around and seeing things. That's why, I love to travel as well, just to be able to, see things that have nothing to do with the pool and think, man, that could be really cool in a pool.
Right.
It's just, we're doing some designs for some really cool, modern pergolas to go over the pool that cantilever. So there's not 4 posts. It would be like 2 and kind of leans out over the pool. Just, lots of different stuff and mixing in different materials. And even in the modern pools, bringing in natural elements like beach pebble and wood, steel, cool concrete, just, kind of having fun. And the other thing that's really cool with everything these days, it seems like whether it's home design or pools, backyards, is that people are having a lot of fun. I think back, kind of mid-century modern was kind of cool, and then kind of like 80s, early 90s, there was some modern stuff going on, but it was really like a lot of white, and it wasn't very warm and inviting, kind of a sterile modern. But now there's, people are mixing all kinds of materials, and you have accent walls, and it doesn't have to be, I think design's going in a cool direction right now because there's really no rules. People are just kind of mixing and matching things and making it work. You have modern farmhouse, which farmhouse and modern you would never think would go together, but that's a cool look too. So it just seems like there's so many creative people and so many cool things to draw inspiration from, and it's just really cool to see where design's going as a whole between even the automotive industry with the electric cars and crazy stuff. So it's really a cool time to focus on design.
Right.
Yeah.
Here at Pool Chasers, we're all about sharing information so that you can become even more knowledgeable pool professionals. The folks at Pentair get that. And to show their appreciation, we invite you to enroll in the Pentair Partners Incentive Program. This flexible and simple program rewards you for your loyalty, starting with your very first sale of Pentair equipment or systems. Not only that, but being a partner gives you immediate and exclusive access to programs and training events, all which are developed to help drive even more business to your door. So to start earning rewards, visit pentairpartners.com or click the link in the write-up below. Hello! That's right. Today's podcast is also sponsored by Lou. Who is Lou? I'm glad you asked. Lou is the all-new cloud-based software from Evisys. The Evisys team took their 18 years of experience and created a software specifically for the pool industry and put it in the cloud. Lou is retail, service, and inventory management all in one. You can meet Lou by going to evisys.com/Lou or by clicking the link in the write-up below.
Well, let's talk about the big grottos. I mean, that's what you're pretty famous for.
Yeah.
What inspires you to build these structures? I mean, I know from other talks, like you find that really within, right? You create that. So what inspires you to make those big structures?
So what I love about the grottos is, again, you're immersing yourself in the design. People are going inside there and hanging out and getting behind the waterfall. And I think that's what I love about it. It's like the kid in me that wants to go hide in a cave and kind of play. And as the grottos get larger and larger, though, we have to, again, change our construction techniques. So we've been developing some massive grotto rocks. So I've designed these rocks, and they're fiberglass basically with a special polymer on the outside that won't fade. Like the problem with artificial rock is a lot of times, with the concrete, it fades over time. There's maintenance to it. So these rocks aren't going to fade. If they chip, the color's all the way through. And so we're going to fill these massive lids. They're 18 feet long by 8 feet wide with concrete and rebar. and they're going to sit in these grottos with natural rock on top of it again as well. So, and then we've designed some column rocks like that as well. So kind of the construction methods, kind of like Rico Rock, where they have panels and concrete and rebar in there, but it's just these panels are to another level in terms of just quality and the longevity of color. And so they're my own. They're my Lucas rocks. So we're working on those right now and doing some massive grottos with them. So now we can make a grotto really any size.
That's really cool.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, I didn't want to forget to ask this. I saw a show where you had collaborated with another pool builder. Might have been local. I don't remember. Something Brothers.
Oh, Pratt Brothers.
Yeah.
Pratt guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to call them Pratt Brothers on the show because you're not allowed to say their business name, and they are brothers, so it's just funny. But anyway,
Really?
the Pratt guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
I was just curious, do you do a lot of collaborations with pool builders?
Yeah, I love collaborating with other people because they have their ideas. I love sharing my experience, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. As we work in other states, we have to work with local people and kind of come in as more of a designer consultant. We come in and do the stonework and work with people to build out the rest of the pool.
Right. Do you have, I know we didn't put this in the questions, I'm surprised, but do you guys take care of service accounts, or do you kind of give those to?
Yeah, there's no time for servicing the pools. Well, they're so spread out too. I mean, we have jobs from Reno, Nevada to New Jersey, Michigan, Kentucky right now, Key West, Florida, all over Florida. I mean, could you imagine?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no maintenance division. We just, train whoever's going to maintain the pool and let them.
Wish
take
that
care of it.
they would show more of, how you guys use the equipment and the automation once you kind of turn it over to the homeowner. Do you ever, in the beginning, did you ask if you could kind of elaborate on how the phone app and, how you can tie in Amazon Alexa to the equipment and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, when it comes to the technology part, that's not my strong suit. I have people that kind of take care of that. You know what I have at my house? You know how I turn on my waterfall? Guess.
A time clock.
That too. That's for the filter pump. I have a light switch.
I was gonna say just a regular.
But you know what's
on-off
great
light
about
switch.
it? Every time I flick the switch, it comes on.
Yeah, definitely get that.
But no, I mean, I love the technology is cool too, and that's what we do, a lot of technology on our pools. But it's just funny at my house. That's what I got.
Just a light switch. Be careful when you're in Lucas's house. You might be thinking you're turning a light on and waterfall turns on.
Yeah.
Very good.
Do the rocks speak to you?
Yeah, they
in the show
they do. The funny thing about filming is 90% of what you film doesn't make the show, and a lot of really cool, fun, funny stuff that I thought would make the show never made the show. So this one particular day, I'm kind of trying to get myself pumped up for filming. I'm not really feeling like it. Some days you just don't want to film. And by this point, this is season 3, or actually this is season 2. We've had 2 years of, the film crew working with us. And by this point, we're like friends, family. Everybody just loved the whole team on the production side. It was really cool. And so I knew this wouldn't make it. So I start talking, kind of just really talking to the rocks, like saying some pretty funny stuff that I know, or at least I thought I knew, wouldn't make the show. So I'm saying all kinds of crazy stuff, and just watching the camera guys like trying to hold the camera steady, and they start like shaking and laughing, and so I'm just really doing it for them. And not only did it make the show, but instead of like cutting out 90% of it like they do with every scene, no, they kept like a full on. Probably like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like
of
2
me.
minutes.
Yeah, so everyone's like, man, this guy's completely nuts. Like, I don't even know if I want him at my house. So
yeah.
they
got you like walking through like the forest or where all the boulders are at, just talking to these.
Yeah.
I'm like, the only thing he's missing is a joint. Like, he's just out there in his own world talking. I'm just messing.
Yeah, I don't even need that. Although I never inhaled though. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. So with the massive structures and you're building these things for these clients, it must have been kind of hard to relay that
design or that vision to them. You guys are now using like Pool Studio and other technology, but how did that change over time? With you drawing. I mean, I still see you draw some stuff on the shows, but
yeah, it's funny. I always shy away from technology, hence why I don't really get involved in the programming. And I used to always hand draw, and then I would have people take my hand drawings and put it into Pool Studio or Photoshop. We've done some different things. And I finally embraced Pool Studio, and I've gotten really good at it to where it's faster for me to do my ideas in Pool Studio than to sketch it. But it's really helped tremendously. There was a lot of faith that went into my hand drawings when I was selling a job in the early years. There was no three-dimensional view of it. So it's really helped convey my thoughts and ideas, and not just saying, oh, trust me, it's going to be awesome. It's going to look kind of like this job over here, but different.
Right.
So it's been great having that tool. Now our jobs are, much bigger. We have probably 12 jobs over $1 million residential right now, some over $2 million. And we have a really cool commercial job coming up for a community that's over $4 million. So people don't typically spend that kind of money unless they get a pretty good idea of what you're going to be doing for that.
Right. Not just spilling rocks on a table and you're just designing it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, here, dump some water in there. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so we interviewed the guys from Pool Kings a while back and talked to them about the filming process, and they explained to us that it's kind of a grind to be part of your family and interacting with all that. How's that Insane Pools process been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a double-edged sword. You love it and hate it at the same time. It's when you're in it. I've watched both of my boys be born, so I think I can say it's kind of like childbirth. When you're in it, I can only imagine, because I saw my wife. You're like, I'm never gonna do this again. It's terrible, and then it grows into this beautiful being that you fall in love with, like the show. We're so proud of the episodes, and we love being able to share our passion. But when you're in it filming, it's tough. I mean, financially, the time it takes, you're paying your guys a 12-hour day and getting maybe 4 hours of work done day in and day out. It's brutal. I mean, here I am trying to grow a business and thinking I might have lost it in the process of trying to get it on TV. Now we're in a much better place, and we could do it a lot better. But in the beginning, just a small company starting from nothing, trying to do a show, it was almost suicide.
Yeah, because you still have to deal with the homeowner as well. I mean, as much as they might be psyched to be on a TV show, you're still wrecking their backyard for, it always takes longer than it's supposed to because of, Mother Nature and whatnot.
Well, yeah, and imagine this, everyone in the pool industry knows, not only are you intruding into the the homeowner's backyard, but a lot of these houses in Florida, you're in a cul-de-sac or a small neighborhood and you have your trucks. Now imagine 15 people from the production side with 4, 5, 6 vans as well every day. I mean, it's people know you're there. It's
I'm
tough.
sure the neighbors are very understanding, right?
Oh yes, there's yeah, we've had some peaches. There's been some great neighbors.
Some peaches.
Oh man, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it magnifies everything. It's
And you kind of had your family on some of it too. How has it been filming with them? Because the other shows don't do that. I've seen you've kind of helped put them on, and then
I wish you're on a little bit more even. I think it's cool. It's cool for the kids when they see the show and they see themselves on it, and they feel a part of it. It's another tough thing filming was I had no time for the family. So a lot of the projects were out of state, and I'd be gone for a month at a time. So anything that gets them involved with what I'm doing is always a help, trying to keep that family unit together while you're off trying to build an empire.
For sure. Yeah. These traveling and doing these trade shows and stuff has been tough for us with our families too. So can't imagine being away from it for a whole month like that. It has to be tough.
Yeah.
And they don't see us on TV.
Right.
No.
Yeah, they don't get to see it. They can hear you on the radio though, right? On the way to school.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter's big fans of the Pool Chasers podcast.
We're proud to announce Lion Financial as a sponsor. Since 1979, they have helped make backyard dreams come true nationwide. Lion Financial is a specialist in pool financing solutions, offering low rates, long terms, and unmatched customer service. Lion Financial's experience is unique to pools, not just any type of loan. They are a partner with both the homeowner and the pool builder until the project is completed, ensuring pool professionals are paid on time and in full. It is absolutely free for pool contractors to partner with Lion Financial to grow their business. Lion Financial is committed to providing an excellent customer service experience. Homeowners will never be charged a consulting fee or prepayment penalties, and pool builders will never be charged a swipe fee for accessing their own hard-earned money. When it comes to something as important as a pool and all the memories that come with it, work with true professionals who have your best interest in mind. With more than 41 years of experience in specializing in pool financing solutions, why trust anyone but the experts? For more information, contact Lion at 877-754-5966. Go to lionfinancial.net/poolchasers or click the link below. You mentioned to us that the most thing you're proud of is the team that you've built. Mm-hmm. You know, many of them are obviously on the TV show. Your mom, Old Man, and Crash, and Frankie's one of our favorite. We spent a lot of time with Frankie in Vegas. He was fun.
Yeah.
But can you just kind of talk about being able to do the show with them and kind of what each one of them kind of brings to the team?
Yeah. So I've been working with Mom forever, my whole life, right? Growing up working outside with her. Grew up landscaping with her in Vermont. Then I moved down to Florida, and it took me about 5 years to get the business going. And then Mom was kind of sick of, trying to make a living in Vermont and was ready to make a change. So she called me up and said, "What do you think if I come down there and help you out?" I said, "That'd be awesome." So it was really cool. I mean, to be able to spend that time with my mom, especially as she gets older and I'm getting older too, as time's flying by, it's pretty special, pretty unique. And obviously I know she's my mom, so she's going to have, she's going to watch things closer than anyone else would when I'm not there. And she's, I learned to take pride in what I do for my mom, and she's got a crazy work ethic. So just to have her part of it's really cool. And Crash, despite his crashing many things of mine, and we've had our ups and downs, but he's a good dude. He's very talented. He's, been with me from the beginning, and he's a good equipment operator. He really sees the rocks and knows how to strap them and get them into place. And he knows how to do the, tile coping, plumbing. I mean, he can do it all. So it's great to have a guy like him on board. And then Old Man, he's been with me for a long time. I think he came around 2007. So crazy. That's like 12, 13 years already. And just a talented pool mason, knew nothing about pools, but very fast at stonework and a hard worker. I mean, just he'll just work. I know on the show we have fun joking around with him taking naps, but that's maybe during a lunch break.
He's a little bit older. He's doing some pretty gnarly work.
Yeah,
he deserves a nap.
Yeah, he's younger than Mom though, so I was like, come on, don't let woman outwork you.
Man,
that's tough. It's good to have Mom on the job site, because when a 67-year-old woman outworks you, it kind of hurts your ego. So it helps make the guys, work harder.
What was it like when you got everybody together and told them that, hey, you know how we build pools and da 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 da? Well, now we're gonna do it with a film crew,
right?
And we're gonna be on TV. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, they knew I'd been working on trying to do that for a long time, so it didn't really come as a surprise, even though we're all kind of surprised that it actually came true. I've always been accused of being a dreamer, and so, a lot of things that I've said people didn't believe, but somehow, you just don't give up, and it came true. So, yeah, it was cool. I mean, we all, but, it's been tough for them too, because they want to get the job done. And, when you're told to stop down, you can't make any noise because they're trying to do an OTF, which is an on-the-fly interview or something, and the subs get mad because they're there to do their job. They're not on the TV show, and they have to stop down. So yeah, it's I had to become an expert in PR.
Right. But they were all excited to be doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. We all take pride in what we do, and to be able to go out and have someone say, "Hey, I saw you on the show," and it's super cool. I mean, it feels good, to have people give you a high five and tell you they love what you do. I mean, I guess that's why we all kind of do what we do, right? For those accolades, it's pretty cool.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And what do you think is, your favorite project that you guys have worked on, like collectively? Has it been one that's been on a show?
I mean, people ask me that all the time, and it's funny because I always say the one I'm working on right now, because I truly get so immersed into the job, and it's like your child. It's like someone say, "Well, what's your favorite child?" I mean, it's like you just love them all so much. It's crazy. Yeah, there's some that stand out. There was one episode. It was a standalone 2-hour special. One of the hardest projects we've ever done. But it was really cool to be able to pull it off. It felt good. So we did this tree house, but in Florida you're not allowed to build a tree house in a tree because of our wind code. So we had to build an artificial tree, build a tree house in it. Then we did a 140-foot water slide, which you probably know I hate water slides.
Yeah, you hate water slides.
So that was like okay. Yeah, if you hate slides, now here's a 140-footer. Now you're really going to hate it. But it came out awesome in the end. We had a lot of challenges with it. But in the end, I mean, when you go down that 140-foot slide, you feel like you're in a theme park and you're in somebody's backyard. And that pool, it was super cool. And these clients are super fun. They're actually building another pool in Key West at their other house. So we're doing a lazy river that goes underneath the house right now for them. So, yeah, 2 crazy pools for this family. And, that's one that stands out. But each one, when we're doing it, is uniquely different and special in its own way, and we give each project, no matter how big or small, the same kind of detail, because sometimes like the small spaces are cool because it's a challenge. I've done projects where other pool companies have come in and said it's impossible to put a pool here, and then we figure out a way. I mean, we've had to battle with engineers and permitting. We've had to build pools, because we have angle of repose in our industry, so you can't put a deep pool right up next to a house. But we've had to overcome those challenges with using sheet piles, helical piles, different things to kind of support the house and get the pool right up against it, sometimes underneath the house. We've built this one pool, the setback was 5 foot from the house. So every pool builder's like, well, it's impossible to put a pool there. Well, we got 5 foot of pool in there and then put it underneath the house. So it came out really cool. And that was the Under the Sea episode. That was a really cool one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think one of the coolest pieces that you like enjoy the pools with the clients and like go to their barbecues after and stuff. I think that's a really cool piece to incorporate.
Yeah,
it's
you're
fun.
like the only one that actually jumps in the pool.
Right.
I mean, of all the like different pool shows out there,
Right.
like you actually like take your shirt off and jump in the pool.
Well, I got to try it out. I got to make sure it works.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Test ride.
That's a lot of fun.
So I hate to say that, what, mistake have you made that, you learned from, but we all need to make mistakes because we need to be able to feel, what that feels like so that it doesn't happen again. But is there some lesson that, you kind of had to learn the hard way, but it was the best lesson yet?
Yeah, I'll just go right into the worst one. So we're going to rip it off like a Band-Aid. So as I was saying earlier, we started with small waterfalls on the edge of a pool. And then as they got bigger and bigger, we realized we had to change our techniques when a pool broke in half. That was a nice eye-opener. So, I've made that mistake. So
broke in half?
Yep. Pool broke right in half. So now we do site-specific engineering, geotechnical tests on every site. There was organics in the ground on that one. And, too much weight for the shell. So, every job we're very thorough. We spend the extra money to engineer each pool. We don't use typicals. We site specifically engineer each pool. We use a lot of rebar, a lot of shotcrete or gunite. We use helical piles a lot because they help ensure that nothing's going to move around. Our average grotto these days is probably 100 tons. We have jobs with 300 ton of stone on it. So, when you go from 10 tons to 100 tons, it's going to be a completely different animal. But these pool shells are expensive to build. You can't just figure the cost of a regular pool and then add a waterfall. It's a completely different animal. Our average pool shell probably has 300 yards of gunite in it. I mean, it's a completely different animal.
I'm trying to imagine like a pool like one that you've built breaking in half. Like at what point, like were people swimming in it, or was it just in this process? Like where?
I mean, luckily it didn't roll down the hill. It didn't roll down the hill. It just it cracked and it leaked, and yeah, it was a tough lesson. I had to flip the bill on that one, and of course it happened, in the middle of filming, and the money's tight, and you do what you have to do. But that was a hard lesson.
So after that, you probably just started, talking with a lot of people in the industry about, engineering these pools properly.
Yeah.
Is that what you did kind of right after that?
Yeah. Yeah. We found a really good engineer. He pretty much did mostly big residential, commercial. All our pools are built pretty much like a commercial pool. So yeah. And then the geotechnical soil samples help a lot to see what's in the ground before you build a pool. The soils might look good, but you never know what's underneath that. So when you go down 20, 30 feet, you can see, okay, are there organics? Is there clay? Clay soils are dangerous too because they expand and contract. So just kind of figuring out what's in the ground. So now we make sure that, first time, that only needs to happen once. When you spend that kind of money to fix a mistake like that, you make sure it doesn't happen again.
It'd be an awesome next show, like insanely bad pools, because we've seen a ton of really, like people might have, like when they're building it, just eyeballing it. Like, you want to measure anything? No.
Right. That's good.
Everything looks good. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing, though, we talked about earlier is just learning from those mistakes and getting better. Everybody does that in this industry of, all right, I made a mistake, or you should be doing that anyways to make your business better. And as long as you're taking care of the client in the end and the client is happy, you're learning from those mistakes, and learning from mistakes. Like, I wouldn't change a lot of the mistakes that I've made just because I've learned so much from them, and they've made me a better person, a better father, a better businessman. Like, everything is built like this, stepping stone of like, all right, now I've become me because of these things, right? So as long as you're taking care of and the clients are happy, like the learning experiences really, really help.
Yeah, when you learn the hard way, you become a quick learner and you don't forget. And, I've seen, some people change from one industry to another. They make a lot of money in one industry. They change into another. They have money going into the second business venture that they didn't have in the first one, and they fail because it's easy to throw money at problems to try to make them go away. But when you don't have the money, that's when you get creative. And I'm just thankful that I've had the hard lessons and I didn't have the money to throw at it because, it's easy to waste money. You have to be careful where you spend money when you're trying to grow a business. It's tough because you need to grow the business in so many different ways. You need more equipment, you need more employees, but you also need to keep the jobs coming in. Without sales, you got nothing. So you have to figure out, how do I promote my business? How do I spend money on marketing? Where do I spend money on marketing? So the YouTube was free other than, my time. So, I didn't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. So in those early years, I just made videos, and ultimately it led to a TV show that was the best advertising I could ever get. And, if I had the money for marketing, I probably wouldn't have done those videos, and I wouldn't have been where I am today. And there's so many examples of that. I could talk for hours on examples of that. But, I really do pay attention to what I love about, the jobs we're doing now are the people I'm meeting as well. These people, if they're spending, $500,000 to $2 million on a pool, they've obviously done something right, or got extremely lucky and inherited it, or won the lottery or something. But, it's cool because I've met a lot of people that have made money and started from the ground up as I did in different industries. And it's just cool to see, how many different ways there are to become successful, and how many different industries there are, and what they've done, and kind of learning from them, and just meeting really interesting people, and then and then even some will admit, they made money in some and lost on other industries, and kind of learning from that. And so, it's just been cool just to be able to meet so many different interesting people and keep learning. We have to learn keep getting better at building pools, but also we have to keep getting better at business as well. I mean, that's all part of it. I mean, it's hard to sleep, right? There's so much to do, so much to learn, trying to keep everyone happy, and you learn how to manage your time, because, we went from doing maybe 8 to 12 projects a year to like 20 to 30, and these projects are much larger. So it's not just going from 8 to 30. It's more like going from 8 to 100, because they're just, multiples. I mean, the average job was around 200,000. Now it's like 750,000. So it's just, it's a lot. But I've been so fortunate to meet really good people and grow the business with some really talented people. And it's very hard to find talented people, but we've been really blessed with some great people coming our way. And I've made a couple people partners on the construction side, because I realized I couldn't do all the construction on my own, and it's hard to give away a piece of your company, but no one's going to watch the money and watch the job like an owner. And I wanted to make sure that, the clients got the best product that we could give them. And so, no regrets there. It's been great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We're big fans of the show and of you, and through a lot of conversations we've had. So we appreciate you, taking the time to come. One last question we always like to ask is there a book or something that's been important to you or helped change, a book or podcast that's kind of changed the way you've done things?
I probably had the same answer last time, and I was trying to come up with a different one, but I pretty much live in my head, so I'm always just kind of imagining what the next thing is. But the one book that really changed a lot of just kind of my thinking, and so Napoleon Hill was kind of the grandfather of motivational kind of speaking, self-help. He was in the early 1900s. He studied Rockefeller, Carnegie, all those guys, Ford, and wrote this book called Law of Success. He also wrote Think and Grow Rich, which is probably the more popular one. But it was just really cool to read those books probably 10 years ago. And that's when, in reading those books, and the show happened. And then it's amazing how powerful the mind is. And when you start thinking in those ways about life and business, and it's amazing. There was such a transformation that happened for me. So yeah, that was probably the biggest impact that I've ever had from reading a book, was reading that book.
It's a really good one. So check it out if you haven't, for sure. But like I said, it's an honor for us to have you here. Thank you for coming out and taking the time driving up here. You're very busy, and it's an honor for us to have you. So thank you very much for coming. Cool. So let's give a round of hand for Lucas.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Real quick, I want to thank you guys all for coming out and sharing the time with us, and thank our sponsors, Pentair and Lou, for supporting the event. We're going to take some pictures and stuff, and we brought some Sharpies if you want to sign the banner. That's cool. So
get the ladder.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to find out more about our guests or the sponsors of the show, you can check them out on the links we have provided in the write-up below. We have also provided links to our social media platforms, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If the podcast has brought you any value, please do what you can to support us through our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/poolchasers. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to be updated each time a new episode is released. One last thing. If you're not yet in our Facebook group, join it today to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all trying to better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We appreciate your time and your ear.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.